The cardboard box hit the wet pavement with a sickening thud, and Tasha Brooks watched her entire life spill onto the sidewalk. Photo frames cracked. Clothes soaked in puddles. The teddy bear her mother gave her on her 18th birthday lay face down in dirty water. "You have 2 hours to clear this area or I'm calling the police," her former landlord, Mr. Patterson, said from the doorway. He didn't look at her. He never did. Tasha sat down on the curb, her red waitress uniform still on from the morning shift. Actually, her former uniform. Bradley Thompson had fired her 3 hours ago because she'd asked for an advance to cover rent. "Business is slow," he'd said, looking at his phone. "Can't keep people who need handouts." Her phone buzzed. The hospital. Again. She couldn't answer. She already knew what they wanted. Her mother needed surgery. $12,000. Money she didn't have. Money she'd never have. The rain started again, cold drops mixing with the tears she'd been holding back since dawn. 28 years old and she had nothing. No job. No home. No hope. Her mother was dying and Tasha couldn't even afford to visit her. "Why are you crying?" Tasha looked up. A little boy stood in front of her, maybe 6 years old, holding a red umbrella over both of them. He had curious brown eyes and wore an expensive-looking blue jacket. "I'm okay, sweetie," Tasha lied, wiping her face. "Shouldn't you be with your parents?" "My daddy's in that store," the boy pointed to the coffee shop across the street. "But you look really sad. My teacher says when people cry they need help." Something about his innocent concern broke through Tasha's defenses. "I lost my home today," she heard herself say. "And my job. And my mom is sick and I can't help her." The boy thought about this seriously. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out a crumpled $5 bill. "Here. This is my allowance." "Oh no, honey, I can't take your money." "But you need help," he insisted. "My daddy says we should always help people who need it." He studied her face carefully, then his eyes lit up with an idea. "I know. Marry me. Then you can live with us and my daddy will help your mom. He helps lots of people." Despite everything, Tasha laughed. It was absurd and sweet and exactly what she needed to hear. "You're very kind. But I'm way too old for you." "You're pretty though," the boy said matter-of-factly. "And nice. My daddy is always sad because my mommy died. Maybe if you married him instead, everyone would be happy. He's not ugly or anything." Tasha's heart squeezed. This child was trying so hard to fix her broken world. "Okay," she said, playing along because it seemed to matter to him. "I accept. When should we have the wedding?" The boy's face exploded with joy. "Really? You'll marry my daddy?" "Oliver James Harrison, what are you doing?" A man's voice, deep and slightly panicked, came from behind them. Tasha turned to see a tall man in a gray business suit jogging across the street. He was handsome in that clean-cut way, maybe mid-30s, with the same brown eyes as the boy. Daddy. This lady said yes. She's going to marry you." Oliver bounced excitedly. The man's face went through several expressions: shock, embarrassment, confusion before settling on apologetic. "I am so sorry," he said to Tasha. "Oliver he's been saying things like this lately. Ever since his teacher talked about helping people in need." He gently took his son's hand. "Come on, buddy. Let's leave this nice lady alone." "But Daddy, she needs help. She lost her home and her job and her mom is sick. I told her you'd help because you always help people. And she's really nice. She said yes to marrying you." The man's eyes finally took in Tasha's wet uniform, the boxes scattered on the sidewalk, her tear-stained face. Something shifted in his expression. "I see," he said quietly. Then to Tasha, "I'm James Harrison. This is my son Oliver. He's right that I help people, though usually not through marriage proposals from 6-year-olds. Tasha Brooks," she managed, feeling ridiculous. "I'm sorry. I was just playing along." He was being sweet. "Daddy, you have to help her. You said we should always help people." James Harrison looked at his son, then back at Tasha. She could see him thinking, calculating. "Ms. Brooks, this might sound strange, but I heard what Oliver said about your situation. I might actually have a proposition for you. A real one, not a marriage proposal. Have you ever met someone who changed your entire life in a single moment? What would you do if a child's innocent question opened a door you never knew existed? Drop a comment below telling me if you'd accept help from a stranger in Tasha's position. And if you want to see where this story goes, hit that subscribe button because what happens next will surprise you." Tasha sat in the coffee shop, a hot cup of tea warming her hands, while Oliver colored in a workbook at the next table. James Harrison sat across from her, his posture professional but his eyes kind. "I need a nanny for Oliver," James said directly. My mother has been helping, but she has her own life. The last 3 nannies quit because I travel for work and they felt isolated. Oliver is a good kid, but he's been struggling since his wife, Emily, passed away 2 years ago. I'm sorry for your loss, Tasha said softly. James nodded acknowledgement. Oliver has a big heart and he gets attached to people quickly. That's why the revolving door of caregivers has been hard on him. He needs consistency. Someone who actually cares. I've never been a professional nanny, Tasha admitted. I've been waitressing for 10 years. I'm good with kids, I guess. I used to volunteer at the church nursery. Oliver clearly likes you. That's more important than credentials to me. James pulled out his phone and showed her a document. Here's what I'm offering. Salary of $60,000 a year, plus room and board in the guest house on my property. Health insurance included, which would cover adding a family member. Tasha's breath caught. That would cover my mother. I assumed it might. There's also a signing bonus of $15,000, available immediately. You can use it however you need. The numbers didn't make sense. They were too good. Why would you offer this to a stranger you met on the street? James leaned back in his chair. Honestly? Because Oliver asked me to help you and I trust his judgment more than most adults. He sees people clearly. And because I've been where you are. Not homeless but desperate and alone. When Emily died, I nearly fell apart. People helped me when I needed it. This is me passing that forward. But you don't know me. I could be anyone. True. Which is why I'd run a background check and we'd have a 1-month trial period. If it doesn't work out, you still keep the signing bonus, and I'll help you find another position somewhere else. But I think it will work out. Oliver doesn't warm up to people easily anymore, and he practically adopted you in 5 minutes. Tasha's mind raced. This solved everything. Her mother's treatment. A place to live. A real job. But it felt too easy, too perfect. What's the catch? No catch. You'd work Monday through Friday, 8 to 6. Some weekends if I have business travel, but I'd give you advance notice. You'd have your own space, your own life. I just need someone who'll treat Oliver like he matters, not like he's a paycheck. Across the room, Oliver held up his drawing. It showed 3 stick figures holding hands. He'd written labels, Daddy, Oliver, and Tasha. Something in Tasha's chest loosened. She'd been taught to be suspicious of good fortune, to look for the angle, to protect herself. But right now, pride seemed like a luxury she couldn't afford. Her mother needed help. She needed help. And this man was offering both without judgment. I accept, Tasha said. Thank you. Really, truly thank you. James smiled and it transformed his serious face. You're welcome. Now let's talk logistics. Do you need help moving your things today? Everything I own is in those boxes on the sidewalk. Then let's go get them. Oliver will be thrilled. 2 hours later, Tasha stood in the guest house behind the main residence. It wasn't a house, it was a small palace. 2 bedrooms, full kitchen, bathroom with a tub that could fit 3 people. The furniture looked like it belonged in a magazine. The main house is through that path, James explained, pointing out the window. You're welcome to join us for meals or you can cook here. Whatever you're comfortable with. Oliver's school schedule is on the fridge in the main kitchen. He takes the bus at 7:30, gets home at 3. I usually get home around 6, but sometimes later. This is too much, Tasha whispered. It's been sitting empty for a year. I'm glad someone's using it. James handed her a key card. This opens everything, the guest house, the main house, the gate. Make yourself at home tonight. We'll start the official schedule tomorrow. After he left, Tasha unpacked her sad collection of belongings. 3 boxes filled one corner of the huge bedroom. She found the photo of her mother, the frame cracked but the picture intact. Her mother, Lorraine Brooks, smiled at the camera, healthy and strong. That picture was 5 years old. Tasha called the hospital from her new phone, the one James had given her as part of the job. This is Tasha Brooks. I'm calling about my mother, Lorraine Brooks. Ms. Brooks, we've been trying to reach you. Your mother's condition has worsened. We need to schedule the surgery within the week. Do it, Tasha said. Whatever she needs. I can pay. The total cost will be around $12,000. We need a deposit of half. I'll bring it tomorrow morning. After she hung up, Tasha sat on the expensive bed in her new home and let herself cry again. But this time they were different tears. Relief. Gratitude. Hope. A knock on the door interrupted her. She opened it to find Oliver standing there with a plate covered in foil. Daddy said you might be hungry. We made spaghetti. It's my favorite. Tasha took the plate. Thank you, Oliver. Are you still sad? No, sweetie. I'm actually really happy now. Because of you. Oliver beamed. See? I told Daddy you should marry him. He fixes things. Your daddy is very kind. And so are you. Do you really not have a mom anymore? Like me? I have a mom. She's sick right now, but she's going to get better. That's good. My mom can't get better because she's in heaven. But Daddy says she's always watching me. Oliver looked up at her seriously. I think she sent you to us. She would like you. Tasha knelt down to his eye level. I think I would have liked her too. That night, Tasha ate spaghetti in her new kitchen, looked at her mother's photo, and thought about the strange turn her life had taken. This morning she'd lost everything. Tonight she had more than she'd ever dreamed of. All because a little boy asked her to marry his father. The first week passed in a blur of routines and discoveries. Oliver was an easy child to love. He woke up cheerful, ate his breakfast without complaint, and actually enjoyed school. The hard moments came in quiet spaces, when something reminded him of his mother. Tuesday morning, Oliver couldn't find his blue sneakers. Mom always knew where everything was, he said, not crying but close to it. Tasha helped him look, finding them eventually under his bed. Your mom taught you to put things back where they belong, right? Yeah. Then that's her still helping you even now. She gave you the tools. We just have to remember to use them. Oliver thought about this, then nodded. I wish she was here though. I know, sweetie. That's okay to wish for. James worked long hours. Tasha rarely saw him before 6 in the evening, and some nights he came home after Oliver was already asleep. But he always checked on his son, always asked Tasha how the day went, always seemed genuinely interested in the answer. Thursday evening, James came home early and found Tasha and Oliver in the backyard. They'd built a fort out of sheets and lawn chairs. What's all this? James asked, smiling. Fort adventure, Oliver explained. Tasha says every fort needs a name. We're explorers looking for treasure. Did you find any? Tons. Tasha buried chocolate coins in the sandbox. James looked at Tasha, something soft in his expression. You didn't have to do all this. It was fun, Tasha said honestly. Oliver's great company. That evening, after Oliver went to bed, James invited Tasha to join him for tea in the main house kitchen. It was the first real conversation they'd had since she started. How are you settling in? James asked, pouring hot water over tea bags. It's wonderful. Still feels surreal. And your mother? You mentioned she needed treatment. She's having surgery tomorrow morning. The hospital called yesterday. They moved it up because of your insurance. Tasha's voice got thick. I don't know how to thank you properly. You saved her life. You're giving Oliver something priceless. That's thanks enough. James wrapped his hands around his mug. Can I ask what happened? With your previous job and apartment. Tasha told him the whole story. The struggling diner, the landlord who wouldn't wait, the mounting bills. I was trying so hard to keep everything together. But it fell apart anyway. That's not failure. That's life being unfair. My mom used to say that bad times don't last forever. I stopped believing her these past few months. James was quiet for a moment. Emily, my wife, she used to say something similar. She'd say that kindness compounds like interest. Every good thing you do builds on the last one until suddenly you have abundance. She sounds like she was special. She was. Breast cancer took her fast. 6 months from diagnosis to gone. Oliver was only 4. He understood she was sick, but not that she wasn't coming back. James stared into his tea. I buried myself in work afterward. It was easier than feeling everything. My mother basically raised Oliver for the first year. I'm not proud of that. You're here now. That's what matters. Because Oliver made me see what I was missing. He told his kindergarten teacher that his daddy lived at work. That was my wake-up call. James met her eyes. He's different with you here. Lighter. He laughs more. He's a good kid. Easy to be around. Most people don't think so. They see a child who asks too many questions and feels things too deeply. The last nanny called him exhausting. Then she was an idiot, Tasha said firmly. Oliver is curious and caring. Those are gifts. James smiled. Thank you for seeing him. The next morning, Tasha took the bus to the hospital. She'd left early before Oliver woke up, with James promising to handle the morning routine. Her mother looked small in the hospital bed, tubes and monitors surrounding her. But when she saw Tasha, her face lit up. Baby girl, what are you doing here? I thought you couldn't afford to visit. Things changed, Mama. Tasha sat beside the bed and took her mother's hand. I got a new job. With insurance. They're going to do your surgery today. Lorraine Brooks started crying. How? Tasha told her everything from the eviction to Oliver's proposal to James's job offer. This man just gave you all this? Out of kindness? I know it sounds crazy. It sounds like a blessing. Like God sent you an angel. Her mother squeezed her hand. You always were too proud to ask for help. I'm glad you accepted this time. I didn't have a choice. You always have a choice, baby. You chose to say yes. That takes courage too. After the hospital, Tasha stopped by her former apartment building. Rita Collins, her neighbor for 3 years, was watering plants on the front steps. Tasha, I've been so worried. Mr. Patterson said you were evicted. I was, but I landed on my feet. Tasha quickly explained her new situation. Rita, who was 72 and had lived alone since her husband died, smiled wide. That's wonderful news. And your mother? Surgery is today. It's all going to be okay. You come visit me when you can. I miss seeing your face. I will, I promise. That evening, Tasha returned to find Oliver and James making dinner together. Well, James was making dinner while Oliver narrated every step. You have to stir it fast or it burns, right, Daddy? That's right. Tasha, how's your mom? She's good. The surgery went well. Oliver ran over and hugged her waist. I told Daddy you'd be worried all day. Were you? A little. But now I'm just happy. They ate dinner together at the kitchen table, something simple, chicken and rice that James had clearly learned from a recipe. Oliver talked about his day at school, about his friend Bennett who could burp the alphabet, about how his teacher Mrs. Garcia was teaching them about butterflies. It felt normal. It felt like family. And for the first time in years, Tasha let herself believe that maybe good things could last. 3 weeks into her new life, Tasha had settled into a rhythm. She woke before Oliver, prepared his lunch, and made sure he was ready for school. After he left, she cleaned the houses, both the main residence and the guest house, did laundry and prepared dinner. It didn't feel like work because everything was so easy compared to waitressing. Oliver came home full of energy every day. They'd do homework together at the kitchen table, then spend time outside if the weather was nice. Oliver loved the tire swing James had hung from the old oak tree, and Tasha would push him for hours while he screamed with delight. Higher, Tasha. I can almost touch the clouds. If you touch them, bring me one back. Clouds aren't real things you can hold, Oliver said seriously. They're water vapor. Someone's been paying attention in science class. James started coming home earlier. Not every day but most days. He'd join them for dinner, help with evening routines, and read to Oliver before bed. Tasha would hear their voices through the walls, the rumble of James's reading voice, Oliver's questions and comments. One evening, Oliver refused to go to bed. I want Tasha to read to me tonight. James looked uncertain. Tasha might be tired, buddy. It's okay, Tasha said quickly. I'd love to. She read 3 chapters of a book about a mouse who wanted to be a knight. Oliver fell asleep before the 3rd chapter ended, his hand curled around her thumb. When she came downstairs, James was in the kitchen washing dishes. You don't have to do that, Tasha said. That's part of my job. You just spend an hour getting my son to sleep. The least I can do is clean up. He handed her a towel. You can dry though if you want company. They worked in comfortable silence for a few minutes. He's getting attached to you, James said finally. I want you to know that. In case that changes anything. It doesn't. I'm attached to him too. I mean really attached. This morning he asked when you were going to officially be his mom. Tasha nearly dropped the plate she was drying. Oh. I explained that you're his nanny, that you care about him, but that's different from being family. He said it didn't feel different. James dried his hands. I'm not saying this to make you uncomfortable. I just want you to be aware. Oliver has a big heart and he's been hurt before. When nannies leave, it devastates him. I'm not planning to leave. I know. But life happens. I'm just asking you to be gentle with him, no matter what. I promise, Tasha said seriously. I would never hurt him. The next afternoon, Tasha took Oliver to the park. They were on the swings when a woman approached. Oliver Harrison? I'm Amanda Spencer. My daughter is in your class. Hi, Oliver said politely. The woman looked Tasha up and down. Are you the new nanny? The agency told me James was interviewing. I didn't come from an agency. Oh. The woman's smile looked painted on. How lovely. It must be nice working for someone like James. Such a generous employer. Something in her tone set Tasha's teeth on edge, but she kept her voice pleasant. He's very kind. My husband works with him. Says James has been different lately. Happier. Must be nice having help at home. The woman clearly wanted more information, but Tasha wasn't giving it. Oliver, ready to try the monkey bars? They left the woman standing by the swings. That lady was nosy, Oliver observed. Some people are curious about other people's lives. Why? I don't know, sweetie. Maybe they find their own lives boring. That evening, James took them both to a restaurant. He'd planned it as a thank you, he said, for all Tasha's hard work. The place was nice, with white tablecloths and waiters in black vests. Tasha wore a green dress she'd bought with her first paycheck. Oliver wore his favorite blue button-down shirt. This is fancy, Oliver whispered loudly. You deserve fancy, James said, smiling. They ordered food that Oliver pronounced weird but good. James talked about a new project at work, some technology Tasha didn't fully understand but pretended to follow. Oliver told them about a butterfly that had landed on his desk at school. Mrs. Garcia said it was good luck. She said butterflies are signs of change and hope. Smart teacher, Tasha said. As they were finishing dessert, Oliver suddenly announced, I told Bennett you're going to marry my daddy. Tasha choked on her water. James's eyes went wide. Oliver, we talked about this. I know, but Bennett asked if Tasha was my new mom, and I said not yet, but she will be soon because you like her. Buddy? It's true. You smile different when she's around. And you come home early now. And you made her special spaghetti last week. James looked mortified. I apologize. Again. Apparently, my son has decided to become a matchmaker. It's okay, Tasha said, though her face felt hot. He's 6. He doesn't understand how things work. I understand that you laugh at Daddy's jokes even when they're not funny, Oliver said. And that Daddy looks at you like Grandma looks at chocolate cake. Now James was the one choking on his drink. Tasha changed the subject quickly, asking Oliver what he wanted to be for Halloween. But the word stayed with her. Daddy looks at you like Grandma looks at chocolate cake. Later that night, alone in the guest house, Tasha admitted to herself what she'd been avoiding. She had feelings for James. Real ones. Not gratitude or obligation, but genuine attraction. The way his eyes crinkled when he smiled. How gentle he was with Oliver. His quiet competence. The rare moments when he laughed at something she said, a real laugh that seemed surprised out of him. But that was impossible. She was his employee. He'd given her everything, and catching feelings seemed like the worst way to repay his kindness. She'd have to be more careful, more professional. She'd have to ignore the way her heart sped up when he walked into a room. The school fall festival came on a crisp October Saturday. James had warned Tasha it would be busy, lots of parents and teachers and chaos. Oliver was excited all week. You have to come, Tasha. Everyone brings their whole family. I don't know if I should, Tasha had said. This is your time with your dad. You're part of our family now. Right, Daddy? James had looked at Tasha with something complicated in his eyes. Of course she is. So Tasha found herself at Riverside Elementary School, watching Oliver bounce between games and activities. The fall air was perfect, cool but not cold, with leaves turning gold and red on the trees surrounding the playground. There's face painting. Oliver pulled both adults toward a station where a teacher was drawing butterflies and superheroes on children's faces. While Oliver waited in line, Tasha and James stood together, watching. He's happy, James observed. Really happy. I haven't seen him like this since before Emily got sick. He's a special kid. He gets that from his mom. She was always finding joy in small things. James paused. I'm glad he has you. I know I've said it before, but I mean it. You've given him something I couldn't. What's that? Permission to be a kid again. After Emily died, Oliver got so serious. Like he thought he had to grow up fast. You reminded him it's okay to play. Before Tasha could respond, a woman's voice called out, James Harrison. I thought that was you. A couple approached, the man in an expensive-looking sweater, the woman in designer jeans. They both had the polished look of people with money. Gregory, Bethany, good to see you, James said, his posture shifting slightly into something more formal. We didn't know you had family at Riverside, the woman, Bethany, said. Her eyes landed on Tasha with curiosity. Oliver's in first grade. This is Tasha Brooks, Oliver's nanny. He turned to Tasha. Gregory and Bethany Vance. Gregory is on the board at Harrison Tech. Nanny? Bethany's eyebrows rose. How modern. I thought you were his wife. Oliver is lucky to have such dedicated care, Gregory said smoothly. James, we should talk about the quarterly projections. Do you have a minute? James glanced at Tasha apologetically. Go ahead, she said. I'll stay with Oliver. As the men walked away, Bethany lingered. So, you're working for James. That must be interesting. It's a good job. I'm sure it is. James is very generous. He's donated millions to various causes. Harrison Tech is one of the biggest companies in the state, you know? Tasha didn't know. She'd assumed James was well off given the house and guest house, but she'd never Googled him. She'd been too focused on her own problems than too busy with Oliver. He never mentioned that, Tasha said carefully. Oh, he's modest about it. But surely you've noticed the security system? The driver who picks Oliver up sometimes? No. Bethany looked delighted to be sharing gossip. James Harrison is worth about $2 billion. Give or take. Made his fortune in technology, something about software that helps hospitals. I don't understand it, but my husband says he's brilliant. $2 billion. The words didn't make sense. Tasha thought of James washing dishes, reading bedtime stories, coming home tired from work. He seems so normal. That's impressive, she managed. He's quite the catch. Every single woman in our social circle has tried to get his attention since Emily passed. But he's been focused on work and Oliver. Bethany smiled. Though I suppose having someone like you around the house makes it easier for him to avoid dating. Built-in help with no expectations. The words stung more than they should have. I should get back to Oliver, Tasha said. She found Oliver getting a tiger painted on his face. Her mind was spinning. $2 billion. She'd accepted a job from a billionaire. She'd been living in his guest house, eating his food, spending his money for her mother's treatment. The signing bonus alone was more money than she'd made in 2 years of waitressing. Tasha, look. Oliver showed her his tiger stripes. Very fierce, she said, forcing a smile. When James returned, Tasha couldn't meet his eyes. The easy comfort from earlier was gone, replaced by awkwardness. She saw him differently now. Not as a kind single father, but as someone from a completely different world. They walked through the festival mostly in silence. Oliver ran ahead to the cakewalk, leaving the adults alone. Bethany told you, James said quietly. It wasn't a question. About the company. About the money. I should have been more upfront. I like that you didn't know. That you treated me normal. $2 billion isn't normal. No. But Oliver's needs are. Your skills are. None of that changes because you know my bank balance now. It changes everything, Tasha said. I've been taking your money like it's nothing. That signing bonus could have fed a family for a year. And I just spent it on my mom's surgery without even thinking. That's exactly what it was for. Tasha, I don't want you to feel weird about this. How can I not? You're a billionaire. I was homeless a month ago. Oliver came running back, saving them from the conversation. I want a cake. It's chocolate. Think about it. Would you feel differently about someone if you suddenly learned they were worth billions? Does money change who a person really is, or just how we see them? Comment below and let me know what you'd do in Tasha's situation. And subscribe to see how this changes everything between them, because the next chapter gets complicated. That evening, after Oliver was asleep, James knocked on the guest house door. Can we talk? He asked when Tasha answered. She let him in, nervous and confused and still processing everything. James sat on the couch, and after a moment, Tasha sat in the chair across from him. I owe you the full story, James said. About Emily. About the company. About why I live the way I do. You don't owe me anything. I think I do. You're part of our lives now. You should understand. He told her about building Harrison Tech in his garage, about the software that helped hospitals coordinate patient care more efficiently. About growing too fast, getting too successful, losing himself in the work. Emily grounded me. She kept me human. When she got sick, I threw money at the problem. Best doctors, experimental treatments, anything. None of it mattered. She died anyway. His voice got rough. The money meant nothing. It couldn't save the one person I needed to save. I'm sorry. After she died, I went harder into work. Made more money, built more things, helped more people. But I was running from the grief. Oliver paid the price for that. I missed a year of his life because I couldn't handle feeling everything. You're here now. Because Oliver made me see what I was missing. And then you showed up and suddenly the house felt alive again. Oliver laughs. I come home at reasonable hours. We eat dinner as a family. You did that. James? I'm not telling you this to make you uncomfortable. I'm telling you so you understand. The money doesn't matter to me. It's just numbers in an account. What matters is Oliver being happy. You being okay. Making sure the people I care about are taken care of. Tasha's throat felt tight. I don't know what to say. Say you'll stay. Say this doesn't change things between us. I'll stay, she promised. For Oliver. Something flickered across James's face, but he just nodded. For Oliver. Of course. After he left, Tasha lay in bed replaying the conversation. He'd said, people I care about. Did that include her? Or was she just Oliver's nanny, someone who happened to be around? She thought about Bethany's words, built-in help with no expectations. Was that all she was? The next 2 weeks were strange. Tasha tried to act normal, but knowing about James's wealth changed things. She noticed details she'd overlooked before. The expensive watches he wore to work, the casual way he paid for her mother's surgery, the pristine condition of everything in the house. She also noticed other women noticing him. At the grocery store with Oliver, a woman recognized James and practically chased them down. At Oliver's school play, mothers clustered around him, laughing too loud at his comments. Even Rita, when Tasha visited, mentioned seeing James's photo in a business magazine article. That man is quite the success story, Rita said, showing Tasha her iPad. Started with nothing, built an empire. And handsome too. You're lucky to work for him. I'm his employee, Rita. That's all. Rita said, in a way that suggested she didn't believe that for a second. Oliver's attachment to Tasha grew stronger. He wanted her at every school event, every doctor's appointment, every milestone. James encouraged it, but Tasha worried. What happened if she left? What happened when Oliver got older and didn't need a nanny anymore? One afternoon, a sleek black car pulled up to the house. A woman emerged, tall and elegant in a maroon business suit. She had perfect hair, perfect makeup, and the confident walk of someone who belonged. You must be Tasha, the woman said, extending a hand. I'm Helen Rodriguez, James's business partner. Is he home? He's in his office. I can let him know you're here. No need. I know the way. Helen walked into the house like she owned it. Tasha tried not to feel dismissed, but it was hard. Helen clearly belonged in James's world in a way Tasha never would. Through the afternoon, Tasha heard voices from James's study. Occasionally Helen's laugh, sophisticated and knowing. Around 5 they emerged. Think about it, Helen was saying. The gala is important. You need to be there with someone appropriate. I'll consider it, James said, his tone neutral. After Helen left, James seemed distracted through dinner. Oliver kept trying to get his attention, but James's mind was clearly elsewhere. Daddy, are you listening? What? Yes. Sorry, buddy. What were you saying? I asked if Tasha can come to Grandma's with us this weekend. Oh. I don't know if Tasha wants to give up her weekend. I'd love to, Tasha said, though she felt uncertain. If it's okay with your mother. Mom will be thrilled. She keeps asking about you. That Friday they drove to James's childhood home an hour outside the city. His mother, Patricia Harrison, was a warm woman in her 60s who hugged Tasha like they were old friends. So you're the miracle worker, Patricia said. James hasn't looked this relaxed in years. Oliver makes it easy. It's not just Oliver. James told me how you've been handling everything. I'm grateful my son had the sense to hire you. The weekend was nice. Patricia cooked a huge breakfast, told embarrassing stories about James as a child, and doted on Oliver. But Sunday afternoon Helen called. Tasha was in the kitchen when James answered. I already told you, Helen. I'm not interested, because I'm focusing on Oliver right now. That's not what this is about. Fine. I'll think about it. He hung up looking frustrated. Everything okay? Patricia asked. Helen wants me to bring a date to a business gala next month. She thinks it's bad optics for me to keep showing up alone. Maybe she has a point, Patricia said gently. You can't hide from life forever. I'm not hiding. I'm prioritizing my son. You can do both. That night, after Oliver was asleep, Tasha found James sitting on the back porch. She almost turned around, but he saw her. Join me? He asked. She sat in the chair next to his. The night was cool, stars bright overhead. Helen means well, James said, apparently continuing the earlier conversation. She thinks I need to get back out there, meet people, date. She's been introducing me to women from her social circle. Maybe you should, Tasha heard herself say. Should what? Date. Oliver asked me the other day when you were going to get married again. He wants you to be happy. James was quiet for a long moment. And what about you? Do you think I should date? The question felt loaded. I think you should do what feels right. What if what feels right isn't what makes sense? Tasha's heart was pounding, but she kept her voice steady. Then maybe sense is overrated. Before James could respond, Oliver's voice called from inside. Daddy? I had a bad dream. The moment broke. James stood. I should go. Tasha sat alone in the dark, wondering what he'd been about to say. Oliver got sick on a Tuesday. Nothing serious, just a bad cold, but he was miserable. His nose ran constantly, he had a fever, and he wanted constant attention. I feel awful, he moaned from the couch, wrapped in blankets. I know, sweetie. But the medicine will help. Will you stay with me? Of course. James had a business trip, something he couldn't cancel. He left Tuesday morning, promising to be back Thursday. Patricia offered to help, but Tasha insisted she could manage. Tuesday night, Oliver's fever spiked. Tasha gave him medicine, put cool cloths on his forehead, and held him while he cried. He finally fell asleep around midnight, but woke up every few hours either coughing or needing water. By Wednesday morning, Tasha was exhausted. Oliver seemed a bit better, his fever down but still clingy. She carried him to the couch, set him up with movies and juice, and tried to stay awake. Tasha? Are you going to leave like the other nannies? What makes you ask that? Because I love you, and whenever I love someone they leave. My mom. The nannies. Everyone. Tasha's heart broke. Oh, Oliver. I'm not leaving. Promise? I promise. You're stuck with me. Good. Because Daddy needs you too. Your daddy has lots of people who care about him. Not like you. He smiles different with you. Real smiles, not work smiles. That afternoon, Oliver fell asleep against Tasha's shoulder. She was dozing too when the front door opened. Sorry I'm early, I caught an earlier flight and, oh. Tasha's eyes opened. James stood in the doorway, still in his business suit, staring at her, and Oliver curled together on the couch. He's been sick, Tasha whispered. Fever broke this morning. James set down his briefcase and came closer. His expression was soft, almost awed. How long have you been like this? A while. He doesn't want me to move. Tasha. James sat on the coffee table, facing them. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why did you accept my job offer? The real reason. Because I needed help and you were offering it. That's not all though, is it? You could have been suspicious. Could have turned me down. But you said yes within minutes. Tasha shifted carefully, trying not to wake Oliver. Your son asked me to. He was so sincere, so kind. I couldn't say no to him. Just him? What do you mean? James ran a hand through his hair. I've been trying to be professional. To keep appropriate boundaries. You work for me and I don't want to make you uncomfortable. But Helen said something last week that I can't stop thinking about. What did she say? She said I'm using Oliver as an excuse to avoid dating because I'm already in love with someone I can't have. Tasha's breath caught. James? She's right. I've been in love with you since the second week you were here. Maybe earlier. Definitely by the time you built that fort with Oliver. And it's been killing me because I know this is impossible. You're my employee. I have all the power in this situation. Saying anything feels wrong. You're saying it now. Because I'm tired of pretending. Because Helen's introducing me to women I don't care about. Because every night I go to sleep thinking about you, and every morning I wake up wishing things were different. He looked at her directly. Tell me I'm alone in this. Tell me it's just me and I'll never mention it again. Tasha's mind raced. This was her boss. This was insane. This was everything she'd been trying not to feel. You're not alone, she whispered. James's eyes widened. What? I've had feelings for you for weeks. Maybe since that first dinner when Oliver was being ridiculous. But I pushed them down because this job saved my life. I didn't want to ruin it by being inappropriate. Inappropriate, James repeated. That's what this is? Isn't it? You're a billionaire. I'm your nanny. This is a romance novel cliché. Or it's two people who care about each other figuring out how to make it work. What about Oliver? What if it doesn't work? What if we try and fail and I have to leave? That would destroy him. It would destroy me too, James said quietly. But what if we don't try? What if we spend the rest of our lives wondering what might have been? Is that better? Oliver stirred between them, mumbling in his sleep. Don't leave, Tasha. They both smiled. He talks in his sleep, Tasha said. He gets that from me. Emily used to record me saying weird things. James reached out slowly, giving Tasha time to pull away, and touched her hand. I'm not asking you to decide right now. I'm just asking you to think about it. About us. What if people judge? What if they think I'm with you for money? Let them think what they want. I know the truth. You fell for me when you thought I was just a regular single dad. You are a regular single dad. Who happens to have billions of dollars. I'd give it all up for Oliver to have a real family again. For you to stay in our lives. Money doesn't mean anything compared to that. Oliver woke up then, groggy and confused. Daddy? When did you get home? Just now, buddy. How are you feeling? Better. Tasha took care of me. She's good at that, James said, his eyes on Tasha. That night, after Oliver was tucked in, James and Tasha sat in the kitchen drinking tea. So, James said, where do we go from here? Slowly, Tasha said. We go slowly. For Oliver's sake. Slow I can do. But Tasha? I need you to know something. This isn't temporary for me. This isn't me looking for convenient companionship. I'm serious about you. I'm serious too. That's why I'm scared. Fear is reasonable. But so is taking chances on good things. Is this a good thing? James smiled. Oliver thinks so. And he's usually right. They didn't tell Oliver at first. James and Tasha needed time to figure out what they were doing. But dating with a 6-year-old in the house was complicated. James started coming home at 4 instead of 6. They'd have work meetings in his office that mostly involved talking about their days, their hopes, their fears. Sometimes they just sat together, reading or working while Oliver played nearby. This is nice, Tasha said one afternoon. Just being together. It is. Though I'd like to actually take you on a date. A real one without Oliver as a chaperone. He'd be offended if he heard you call him a chaperone. He'd be thrilled if he knew we were together. 2 weeks into their quiet relationship, Oliver noticed something was different. Daddy, why are you being weird? What do you mean, buddy? You keep smiling at Tasha. Like all the time. Are you guys doing secret stuff? Tasha and James exchanged glances. We're not being secret, James said carefully. But yes, something's changed. How would you feel if Tasha and I were dating? Oliver's face lit up like Christmas morning. Really? You're finally listening to me? Is that okay with you? It's the best. Does this mean Tasha's going to be my mom now? Not right away, Tasha said gently. We're taking things slow. Getting to know each other better. But yes, sweetie, your dad and I care about each other. Oliver jumped up and down. I knew it. I told Bennett you were going to fall in love. Can I call Grandma? Let's wait a bit, James said, laughing. We want to make sure everyone's comfortable first. I'm comfortable. This is the best day ever. That weekend, James took Tasha on their first real date. Patricia came to watch Oliver, who gave them a lengthy speech about how they needed to have fun and not worry about him. James took Tasha to a small Italian restaurant across town. No fancy clothes, no expensive wine. Just good food and conversation. This is nice, Tasha said. Normal. You keep saying that like you're surprised I can do normal. You have to admit your life isn't exactly average. Maybe not. But this feels right. You and me figuring this out together. They talked about everything. Tasha's childhood with her single mother, moving apartments every few years, learning to be resilient. James's journey building his company, the pressure and success, losing Emily and finding himself again. I want to meet your mom, James said. Properly, not just at the hospital. She'd like that. She keeps asking about you. I think she's worried you're too good to be true. I'm very real. Flaws and all. What flaws? I work too much. I'm terrible at cooking anything besides spaghetti. I snore. I lose things constantly. Oliver gets his disorganization from me, not Emily. Those aren't flaws. Those are quirks. What about you? What are your flaws? Tasha thought about it. I'm too independent sometimes. I have trouble asking for help. I hold grudges longer than I should. And I worry about everything. I've noticed that last one. Is it annoying? It's endearing. It means you care. After dinner, they walked through a park near the restaurant. It was late October, leaves crunching underfoot, air cold enough to see their breath. I want to introduce you to people, James said. Business associates, friends. I want everyone to know you're important to me. That's going to cause talk. Your business partner already thinks I'm just convenient help. Helen will come around. She's protective of me, that's all. Once she sees how happy you make me, she'll understand. What if she doesn't? Then she doesn't. Tasha, I've spent 2 years caring what people think. I'm done with that. You and Oliver are what matter. 2 weeks later, James brought Tasha to a business dinner. Nothing fancy, just a small gathering of Harrison Tech executives and their partners. Helen was there, polite but cool. So, Tasha, Helen said over appetizers. James tells me you've become quite important to Oliver. He's a special kid. And to James as well, I understand. Helen, James warned. I'm just making conversation. It's wonderful that James has found someone who makes him happy. Helen's smile didn't reach her eyes. Though I'll admit I'm surprised. You're not exactly his usual type. What's his usual type? Tasha asked evenly. Oh, someone from a similar background. Similar education. Someone who understands the pressures of his position. James set down his fork. That's enough. I'm not criticizing. I'm stating facts. Tasha seems lovely, but this world is complicated. Business dinners, charity galas, board meetings. It takes a certain kind of person to navigate that. Then it's good I have James to help me learn, Tasha said. She refused to be intimidated. Helen looked surprised, then impressed. Fair enough. I apologize if I was rude. I'm protective of James. He's been through a lot. I understand. So am I. After that, Helen thawed considerably. She pulled Tasha aside later. I misjudged you. You're tougher than you look. I've had to be. James needs tough. He's brilliant but sometimes too trusting. Emily was the same way, all heart. It got them both hurt more than once. But you've got armor. Not armor. Just experience. Either way, I'm glad you're here. Just, don't hurt him. Or Oliver. They've been hurt enough. I won't, Tasha promised. They're my family now. A month later, James took Tasha and Oliver to meet Patricia officially as his girlfriend. Patricia cried happy tears and hugged Tasha. I knew it, Patricia said. The first time I saw you two together, I knew. They spent the weekend cooking together, playing with Oliver, talking about the future. James's father had died when James was young, so Patricia raised him alone. You remind me of myself, Patricia told Tasha. Determined, loving, willing to fight for what matters. James couldn't have found anyone better. Sunday evening, as they drove home, Oliver fell asleep in the back seat. James reached over and took Tasha's hand. I love you, he said. I should have said it sooner, but I love you. Tasha's eyes filled with tears. I love you too. Good. Because I'm in this for the long term. I want to build a life with you. A real one. Me too. In the back seat, Oliver mumbled in his sleep, I told you so. They both laughed. 3 months passed in a blur of happiness. Tasha officially moved into the main house, though she kept the guest house as her office. She'd started working with James's foundation, helping develop programs for single mothers and families in crisis. You're good at this, James said, reviewing her proposal for a job training program. Really good. I know what it's like to need help. I want to make sure others get the same chance I did. Oliver thrived. His grades improved, he made more friends, and he stopped having nightmares about loss. He called Tasha Mom, sometimes, then got embarrassed and corrected himself. But Tasha didn't mind. She loved him like her own. Lorraine, Tasha's mother, was fully recovered and living in a nice apartment James had helped her find. She and Patricia became friends, bonding over their children's happiness. I can't believe how things turned out, Lorraine said during one of their Sunday dinners. 6 months ago you had nothing. Now look at you. I got lucky, Tasha said. You got brave. You said yes when you could have said no. That's not luck, baby. That's courage. In March, James told Tasha he had a surprise. Oliver was in on it, giggling and bouncing with excitement. What are you two planning? Tasha asked suspiciously. Can't tell, Oliver said. It's a secret. That Saturday, James drove them to a park outside the city. The trees were blooming, spring flowers everywhere. He'd packed a picnic, complete with Oliver's favorite sandwiches and Tasha's preferred tea. They ate on a blanket, Oliver chattering about school while James kept checking his watch. Are you expecting someone? Tasha asked. Just waiting for the right moment. The right moment for what? Oliver couldn't contain himself anymore. For Daddy to ask you to marry him for real this time. Oliver. James laughed. You were supposed to wait. Sorry? I got excited. Tasha's heart stopped. James? James pulled out a small blue box. This wasn't how I planned to do this. I had a whole speech prepared. But Oliver's right, it's time. He got down on one knee while Oliver bounced beside him. Tasha Brooks, you changed my life. You brought light back into our home. You gave Oliver a mother's love when he needed it most. You made me remember what it means to live, not just survive. I love you. Oliver loves you. We want you to be part of our family forever. He opened the box. Inside was a simple diamond ring, beautiful and understated. Will you marry me? Tasha was crying, laughing, nodding all at once. Yes. Yes, of course yes. Oliver cheered so loud that people across the park looked over. James slipped the ring on her finger and kissed her. It was perfect. Finally, Oliver said. I've been waiting forever. I told you at the beginning you should marry her. You were right, buddy. You were right all along. They spent the rest of the afternoon making plans. Oliver wanted to be the ring bearer. Patricia wanted to help plan everything. Lorraine wanted Tasha to wear something blue for good luck. Simple wedding, Tasha said. Just family and close friends. Whatever you want, James agreed. As long as you marry me, nothing else matters. That evening they told everyone. Patricia cried. Lorraine cried. Helen, surprisingly, seemed genuinely happy. I'm glad you proved me wrong, Helen told Tasha. You're good for him. For both of them. Thank you. That means a lot. I have something for you. Helen handed Tasha an envelope. A wedding gift from the company. Consider it an investment in happiness. Inside was a check for $500,000, made out to Tasha's foundation. Helen, this is too much. It's not enough. You're doing important work. Let us support it. Rita, when she heard the news, hugged Tasha tight. I knew that man was special. I'm so happy for you, baby girl. The next few months were busy with planning. Tasha chose a simple blue dress, elegant but not over the top. James rented a small venue, a garden with flowering trees and a view of the lake. They invited 50 people, mostly family and James's closest colleagues. Oliver took his role as ring bearer very seriously. He practiced walking slowly for weeks, holding a small pillow with the rings tied on. I have to do it perfect, he said. This is important. You'll be great, Tasha assured him. You're the reason we're getting married in the first place. I know. I'm pretty smart for a kid. The wedding day arrived bright and sunny. Tasha stood in the dressing room with her mother and Patricia, looking at herself in the mirror. You look beautiful, Lorraine said, adjusting Tasha's hair. I feel like I'm dreaming. You're awake, baby. This is real. You found your family. The ceremony was simple and perfect. Oliver walked down the aisle with exaggerated care, the rings secure on his pillow. When he reached the altar, he stage whispered to James, "Don't mess this up, Daddy." Everyone laughed. James's vows were short and heartfelt. Tasha, you saved me. You saved Oliver. You saved our family. I promise to spend the rest of my life being worthy of that gift. Tasha's vows were simple. James, you gave me hope when I had none. You showed me that kindness and love still exist in this world. I promise to be your partner, your friend, and Oliver's mother for as long as I live. When they kissed, Oliver cheered louder than anyone. The reception was intimate and joyful. Dancing, laughter, good food. Oliver danced with everyone, his tie already loosened, his happiness infectious. Best wedding ever, he declared to anyone who would listen. As the sun set, James and Tasha stood together watching their families mingle. Happy? James asked. Beyond words, Tasha said. 6 months ago, I was sitting on a sidewalk with everything I owned in boxes. Now I'm married to an amazing man with a son I love. It's surreal. It's not surreal. It's just life finally getting it right. I love you. I love you too. Thank you for saying yes. That first day when Oliver asked you to marry me, I only said it as a joke. I know. But Oliver knew what he was doing. He always does. 1 year later, life had settled into a beautiful rhythm. Tasha and James were a team in every sense. They raised Oliver together, ran the foundation together, navigated life's challenges together. Oliver was 8 now, confident and happy. He told anyone who would listen about how he'd known his parents should be together before they did. I'm basically a genius, he'd say. I matched them up when I was 6. Tasha's foundation had expanded. They'd helped over 200 families find housing, jobs, and stability. Every success story reminded Tasha of where she'd started, and she was grateful for the chance to give back. James had cut back on work travel, focusing on being present for his family. Harrison Tech was still successful, but James had learned that success meant nothing without people to share it with. One Tuesday evening in May, the family sat at dinner together. It was Oliver's turn to pick the meal, so they had tacos, his current favorite food. We should get a dog, Oliver announced between bites. We've talked about this, James said. Dogs are a big responsibility. I'm responsible. I make my bed every day. Mostly. Mostly isn't quite enough for a dog, Tasha said, hiding her smile. What if I make it every day for a whole month? Then can we get a dog? We'll discuss it, James said, which was parent code for, probably not, but we don't want to say no directly. After dinner, while Oliver did homework at the kitchen table, the mail arrived. Tasha sorted through it. Bills, advertisements, a postcard from Patricia who was on vacation, and a large envelope with the foundation's logo. "What's this?" she asked James. "Open it." Inside was a letter and a check. Tasha read the letter first, her eyes widening. "James, this is $1 million donation. Anonymous." "What?" "Read the note." The note was handwritten on expensive paper. "For choosing love over logic. The world needs more of that. Congratulations on building something beautiful." It was signed simply, H.R. Helen Rodriguez. Tasha breathed. "She donated this?" "She called me last week. Said she'd been inspired by your work, by our story. She wanted to contribute. This is incredible. We can help so many more families." "That's the idea." Oliver looked up from his homework. "Is something good happening?" "Something very good," Tasha said, pulling him into a hug. "Your mom's foundation just got a huge donation." "Cool. Does this mean we can get a dog?" They all laughed. That night, after Oliver was asleep, James and Tasha sat on the back porch with glasses of wine, looking at the stars. "Do you ever think about that first day?" James asked. "When Oliver asked you to marry me?" "All the time. It seems impossible that it was only a year and a half ago. Feels like forever. Like you've always been here." "In a way, maybe I have. Maybe we were always supposed to find each other." Oliver would say he made it happen. Oliver's probably right. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Tasha thought about her journey. From homeless and desperate to married and fulfilled. From waitressing for tips to running a successful foundation. From alone to surrounded by love. "What are you thinking?" James asked. "That kindness changes everything. If you hadn't offered me that job, if I hadn't had the courage to say yes, none of this exists. Oliver wouldn't have a mom. I wouldn't have a family. Your foundation wouldn't be helping people. One decision changed everything. One act of kindness. Oliver asked you to help and you did. No questions, no judgment. Just help. He's wise beyond his years. He gets that from you. He gets it from both of us now. You're as much his parent as I am." Tasha leaned her head on James's shoulder. Through the window she could see Oliver's room, his night light glowing softly. She thought about all the children in situations like hers had been. All the families struggling, desperate, losing hope. "I want to do more," she said. "With the foundation. I want to make sure no one has to feel as alone as I felt. Then we'll do more. Whatever you need, we'll make it happen. Thank you. For everything. For taking a chance on me. Thank you for taking a chance on us. On Oliver. On this crazy life." The next morning, Oliver woke them up early. "I had an idea," he announced, jumping on their bed. "It's 6 in the morning, James groaned. "But it's important. You know how Tasha's foundation helps families?" "Yes. We should help kids too. Kids who need someone to care about them. Like I needed Tasha." Tasha sat up, fully awake now. "What are you thinking, sweetie?" "Like a program where people who have good homes can help kids who don't. Not adopt them maybe, but like, be their extra family. So no kid feels alone." James and Tasha looked at each other. "That's actually brilliant," James said. "I know. I told you I'm a genius." That afternoon they started researching mentorship programs. By the end of the week they had a plan. Within a month they'd partnered with local schools to create Family Plus, a program matching stable families with children in foster care or difficult situations. Oliver helped design the promotional materials. His tagline was simple: "Everyone needs someone who cares." The program launched in September. 20 families signed up immediately. Within a year, over 100 children had mentors, people who took them to movies, helped with homework, showed up to school events. One girl, 10-year-old Sophie, was matched with the Harrison family. She and Oliver became close friends. Sophie spent weekends at their house, quiet and careful at first, gradually opening up. "Thank you for including me," Sophie said to Tasha one evening. "I didn't think anyone would want to." "We're glad you're here," Tasha said, her throat tight. "You're part of our family now." "Really? Really?" 2 years after the wedding, James, Tasha, Oliver, and Sophie sat at dinner together. They'd added 2 more place settings. Rita and Lorraine were visiting for the week. The dining room was full of laughter and conversation. "This is nice," Oliver said, looking around. "Having everyone together." "It is," James agreed. "This is what family looks like. Not just blood family," Oliver added wisely. "Chosen family too. The people you decide to love." "Exactly," Tasha said. "That's exactly right." After dinner, James pulled out his phone. "Photo time. Everyone squeeze in." They gathered together, Rita and Lorraine in the back, James and Tasha in the middle, Oliver and Sophie in front. The camera clicked. Later, looking at the photo, Tasha marveled at how full her life had become. All because a 6-year-old boy had seen someone in need and decided to help. All because she'd been brave enough to say yes. "What are you looking at?" James asked, coming up behind her. "Just remembering. All of this started with Oliver asking me to marry you on a sidewalk." "Best proposal I never made," James said, kissing her temple. "See, Daddy?" Oliver piped up from the couch where he was reading with Sophie. "I told you from the beginning she was perfect for us." "You did, buddy. You absolutely did. Maybe I should become a professional matchmaker when I grow up." "Maybe you should finish 3rd grade first," Tasha said, laughing. That night, after everyone else was asleep, Tasha stood in the doorway of Oliver's room. He was curled up with his favorite stuffed bear, the one her mother had given her that now belonged to him. In the other guest room, Sophie slept peacefully, secure in the knowledge that she was safe and wanted. James came up behind Tasha, wrapping his arms around her waist. "Happy?" he whispered. "More than I ever imagined possible," she whispered back. "We built something beautiful, didn't we?" "We did. You, me, Oliver. We built a family. And now we're helping other families build theirs. It all started with kindness. And hope. And love. The 3 things that matter most." They stood together in the quiet house, listening to the soft sounds of their sleeping children, feeling the weight of all they'd created together. From a chance meeting on a sidewalk to a life full of purpose and love. Oliver had been right all along. Sometimes the most unlikely beginnings lead to the most perfect endings. And sometimes when you're brave enough to say yes, everything changes.